Currently, the stock portfolio sits at a combined value of just over $29,000. The US portfolio is currently at 14,320 USD, which is roughly around 21, close to 22,000 AUD, and the Vanguard portfolio is sitting at around 7,500 AUD. Overall, the portfolio is looking good, with it nearly being in the green 10%. It's currently up around 1,259 USD, and I have around $16 in current buying power. Not too much has happened with this portfolio, as I haven't been investing much into it and been putting more money into my savings in my Vanguard stocks. But I have recently just got a dividend from Microsoft. Again, not a very big one as they grow up, but it's nice to still get these little payments. In regards with how the portfolio is sitting, not much has changed. I haven't sold out any positions, I haven't bought into any. In regards with my Vanguard portfolio, this is the positions I have been adding to. I have continued to buy into VLC, with me now having 68 shares of it, close to $5,000 worth, but the goal is still to get this to $10,000 before the end of the year, which I'm well ahead of, so hopefully I can get it to 10,000 by even as early as August. In regards with goals for the stake portfolio, I don't have anything really in mind. Stocks have kind of bounced back, so not as many good deals on at the moment, so I haven't really been putting money in, and I'm saving for other things. But in regards with general news, people might have seen the recent Apple Vision Pro release with their new headset, rivaling the likes of Meta with their metaverse. But there was a bit of a mixed bag results from Apple in regards with how people anticipated it. It did come out around that $3,500, which does seem a bit pricey. And yeah, the stocks kind of reacted. It did go as high as up to around that 184, but you can see it's bounced down, and then now it's kind of been steadily going back up and kind of sitting around that 180 mark. And even in the last month, up 4.5. Last 3 months, 20%. It's just been a great year for investors, especially if you've been invested into big tech, which is very different to what it's been like in recent last year. People would have seen just how hard it was. And yeah, speaking on Apple and the rivalry with them releasing this product, Meta, everyone's known Meta having their metaverse, kind of got a mixed response. The stock flew up when they started stepping away from it and trying to become more profitable. But after Apple's recent release, it is maybe something that's on the cards for them. As you can see, Meta founder Mark Zuckerberg and Apple CEO Tim Cook have spent the last several years sparring over internet privacy and digital advertising. Yeah, it's not hidden or anything that they've had some back and forth. But yeah, with that recent release of Apple's new headset on Monday, the iPhone makers and Facebook's parents are now firmly in the same market. Zuckerberg and Cook both looking for a new era. As you can see, Facebook jumped into it 9 years ago. Everyone knows Facebook's been bidding on it when they bought the Oculus for $2 billion, and in late 2021 the company changed its name to Meta. Everyone kind of knows the backstory around kind of Meta's side into it, but it has been interesting to see Apple jump into it, especially when we're so used to Apple products being sought out perfectly when they are released. Apple doesn't really do much acquisitions. They kind of just do everything in-house. Don't have a massive catalog of items when you compare it to other companies. Even the likes of Microsoft, who owns a bunch of smaller companies, might own all this and that. Apple's very kind of niche with what they own, and I thought it looked quite nice. I could see the use of it. The price tag is a bit pricey, but I guess for a quality product, you're kind of investing. They're kind of expecting people to invest a little bit more, and people will. So in regard with what I think that's going to do for the stock, Apple is not something that I trade on. It is priced quite high at the moment in the 180s. It's definitely not where I'll be buying in. I mean, you look at my average price at around 134, and even going back, it's been in the 140s. Even if you go back a year, you can see there was times when it was all the way down here in the 130s when I was basically in the negative at one point. And yeah, it's just gone up and up and up, and I've just been rewarded for holding the position. Again, it's something that I think I'll just continue to hold. I'm not really a trader. I don't jump in and out of stocks. As you can probably see if you looked at any of my other videos, it's all consistent with the same stocks I own most of the time. I have sold out of stocks obviously previously, things like Meta, Alibaba, Goldman Sachs, but it's not often you see changes. Other changes, you can see Microsoft up 22%, another one that's had an amazing start to the year. You can see its run up as well, and yeah, I just plan on holding these quality companies over the long run. Do I think this release will change much? No, I think Apple will still stay on its path. Apple's such a strong ecosystem where if you get an iPhone, people tend to get an iPad or a MacBook, an Apple Watch, and maybe that will help here with the Vision Pros, trying to get it just into a bigger ecosystem. In regards with more news that's been happening, I'm sure many crypto investors or people who are just following the finance space would have seen as the SEC sues Binance and CEO for US security violations. Then, right after, they proceeded to sue Coinbase. And yeah, it was a bit of a mixed response. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, actually did a decent interview, I thought, which I watched through. Might share a clip of it, but I thought it was quite good. Kind of how they've been asking for regulation and just kind of how confusing the overall space has been. Starting off with the Binance CEO getting sued. You can see the SEC sued crypto exchange Binance and its billionaire founder, alleging that they worked to attract US customers to its unregulated international exchange. 13 charges. And yeah, of course they're going to dismiss them. The whole crypto space is a bit odd. Bitcoin has bounced back a little bit, but again, it's not something I invest in, so it's not something I keep my eyes on constantly. Binance is one of the major players. It is worldwide. You can even, I saw this quote when I was actually reading through it before, was one of the senior executives allegedly told a compliance officer that the company was operating as a unlicensed security exchange in the USA. Bro. And if you're getting that from a senior executive, getting how credible this might be, who knows, but it is a bit of a peek inside of how things have kind of been going. Binance has obviously been very profitable, but going to the Coinbase side of things, as I think this is a bit more interesting, the stock did have a massive fall off. You can even see, we can go back and have a look. You can go Coinbase and just see how it's been trading. Obviously today it's bounced back, but that doesn't really help the fall it had when you see it was sitting around the 60s and dropped all the way down, even in the 40s. And if you're a Coinbase investor, it's probably been a bit of a tough ride. I know since IPO, I remember when that happened, it's just been downhill, knock after knock after knock. Tough time for investors, but kind of seeing how they reacted to it. They did ask for more regulation, and it is a space that probably does need a level of regulation in it. But the Securities Exchange Commission sued crypto exchange Coinbase in New York federal court on Tuesday morning, alleging the company was acting as an unregistered broker. Some similarities to what was kind of happening in Binance, and shares obviously closed down. He said, these trading platforms, they call themselves exchanges, and again, you can take this as you will. It depends on your view on a lot of these things. Again, I'm not someone that's big into crypto, but I thought it was something interesting to cover. And I do like listening to some of Brian Armstrong's opinions, and kind of how he runs Coinbase, I think is interesting compared to many other big major companies. Another worldwide kind of thing that I wanted to quickly just look over was China's exports plunged by 7.5% in May. Again, this might not seem like a big thing, especially to many worldwide who's not in China, obviously, but this does have a major effect. Obviously, there's already been the big things that have happened, obviously, in Russia, Ukraine, exports from there, things like wheat, but with things kind of tracking back in China as well, it is interesting, especially with cost of living. Next thing you know, maybe a lot of products that are shipped from there, imports and exports, they might become a bit scarce, and the price of things could obviously jack up, especially being here based in Australia. China's not that far away, still Asia region, but you can kind of see the China total exports. I looked at this graph a little bit earlier, and you can just see the constant downtrend. Obviously there was this time, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens globally, how different countries are reacting to this, things like the war, things like you can see recessions happening everywhere. I looked at Argentina's inflation problem over there. Even in Australia, there's massive problems such as with housing and affordability. Just people can't even buy their day-to-days. You see rents in some places like Sydney are close to $700 a week, and it's just tough for families. But my kind of approach hasn't really changed with how I'm handling things. I'm just trying to steadily put in money. Obviously this week I didn't put any money in. That's because I had some expenses, bought some flights, because every now and again you have to obviously reward yourself, take a bit of time off. But I'm planning to continuously just keep investing, hopefully around that $300 mark, into my stock portfolios every single week, and then investing another $300 or so every week into my savings, as I just continue to grow my savings as I go towards something like a first house. But nothing has really changed in regards. If I am going to be putting more money in, I'll probably just be buying into the same VOO. The goal is still to get my VOO position to 10k. That will be a goal for next year. It's not something I'm planning on hitting this year, or something I'm focused on hitting this year. And then with my Vanguard portfolio, the goal is just to get it to 10k, which I'll do. If I can get it to potentially 12 or 13, that would be a benefit. But I'm not in a hurry. Again, my goal is half to grow my savings and get that up even more, and then just slowly grow these. And the more interests I get on your savings, more dividends I get from my stocks, and then hopefully just capital gains can hopefully go towards something like a first house, or just growing this portfolio for a rainy day, or whenever I travel or need funds or use it. And that's just a bit more of an update. It sits at 29,000. Hopefully next one will be closer to breaking that 30k mark. I remember doing these videos and it was only at 9k, so it's been nice tracking and kind of just seeing how my overall stock portfolio has gone. It will obviously help a lot when VOO decides it wants to get back up, but and get back up to these 420 marks. But till then, I'll just keep investing, and hopefully will pay out in the long run as I continue to track this. Cheers.